Hey guys, what's going on? This is Benjamin with Benjamin Exotics, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how to set up a ball python egg box just like this one. So for anybody that is interested in breeding ball pythons at all, besides the actual breeding part and of course having your incubator and everything set up, one of the most important things you're going to need to know how to do, or do yourself basically, DIY, there's a few different ways to do this, is to have a good setup with your egg box, because this is basically the nest or the environment that your eggs are going to be living in for the next 60 days as they are developing in your incubator. And if this is off, or if this isn't done correctly, chances are your eggs aren't going to survive, or at least you're not going to have a very good hatch rate in the end. So as you guys can see, this is how I'm currently setting up my ball python egg boxes, and I want to show you guys how we're going to do this. So I'm going to set this guy down on the table below me, and I'm going to move the camera a little bit just so we can break down everything in this setup, from the egg crate to the substrate, container, humidity, everything you're going to need to know in order to have good success when you're incubating ball python eggs. So the first aspect of setting up any egg box, of course, is the box itself. Now there's really two different options that you can use. You can use either a normal container just like this that has a snap-on lid, meaning that there isn't a complete airtight seal, but it's still going to do pretty good with holding the humidity in, and a box like this really isn't going to need too many air holes, if any, drilled on the sides for ventilation. You can always, of course, as well use like a Ziploc container or something like that that's going to have a press and seal around the entire thing, or I've even seen other people use different seals themselves. But if you are doing that, you're probably going to want to have at least one air hole in each side. It doesn't have to be huge, just a small hole that's going to let some circulation and ventilation come through in this box, because you don't want the egg box to get too stagnant of air, because believe it or not, just like live snakes, if their air supply is cut off for too long, you could, in theory, basically, suffocate the eggs from not having fresh air in their container. Now the second most important thing is going to be what you have in here in terms of substrate that they are laying on, or what is going to be the thing that's holding your humidity that is going to be giving your eggs the humidity that they need, because as you guys will probably know, for ball python eggs, you need to be around 88-90 degrees max for your temperature, but your humidity is very key. You want it to be as high as humidity as it can possibly be without too much condensation in your egg box. So while we're not going to be laying our eggs in here, this is what is actually a sort of substrate that you would use for plants called Sterilite. Now Sterilite comes by a few different brands, but I'm using the, as you guys can see, hopefully it'll pick up on the camera, Miracle-Gro Sterilite. Nothing fancy. You can pick this up at your local plant store, or even Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff like that carry it. But the reason that we have this in here, even though the eggs aren't going on it directly, is this is going to hold humidity amazingly. Now to be 100% honest, if you guys really wanted to, you could have a setup where there's no substrate at all, and what I'm not going to recommend doing is taking a substrate like this and putting your eggs directly in it. You can do that, and people have done it successfully before, but when you put your eggs directly in a substrate like this, you're running the risk of having all kinds of molds and stuff grow, and you're running the risk of losing your entire clutch. A much safer way to do it, and the way that I'm preferring to do it this season, is taking this egg crate. You can get a few different brands of this stuff, or this is actually called a light diffuser that you can pick up at Lowe's or Home Depot. We're going to set this guy in here just like that, and as you guys can see on the sides, I have these zip ties that are hooking two of these guys together that fits perfectly in here. Now, once we have this set in here, our eggs are going to lay right on top of this. And the reason we do this, like I said, is because we don't want mold getting on the eggs, and having too much moisture isn't going to be great on them either. You want humidity, but not sitting water. So when they're on here, as you guys can see, no water from the substrate is going to be able to actually touch these eggs. And I already mixed this substrate up before we did the video, and as you guys can see, if I squeeze, it's clumping, but there's no water actually coming out of it. And to be 100% honest, that is fine as long as it has the right humidity. But all I'm going to do is actually add a little bit more water into our substrate, or the perlite, just like so. Now, like I said, you don't want there to ever be standing water touching your eggs, but as you guys can see, I mixed that up, and now we have like this sort of slushy, slurry mix. And as you guys can see, if I take the substrate now and I squeeze it, there's definitely some water coming out of there, which you would not want your eggs under any conditions to sit in bedding like this, or perlite like this, because it's just too wet. You're going to have problems, and the egg is eventually going to absorb that water and it's going to drown. So all we're gonna do is take our egg crate, set that guy in there, and even though it's a very, slushy mix, when I press down on this substrate, hopefully you guys can see with the camera, no water is able to come up onto and touch the eggs. So even though this is not a good substrate to lay the eggs in directly, which I don't recommend doing, when I do this, as you can see, I'm pushing down and there's no water able to actually come up and touch our eggs. And once we have this entire setup done, all I'm gonna do is take the Sterilite lid that this comes with, snap it right on, and this guy's good to go in the incubator. Now, like I said, it's really personal preference, guys. If you want there to be a little bit more ventilation in here, you have to watch your humidity, but this lid, as you guys can see, is not airtight, but it is going to hold the amount of humidity that I personally want in my egg box. So if you guys aren't comfortable with having a lid just like this on top, like I said, you could put one small hole here and one small hole here in your actual container to make sure there's a good airflow and ventilation. But like I said, these guys are not airtight, so I don't feel that that's a need for me to do on my egg boxes. So overall, I hope you guys did enjoy and benefit from today's video, and I'll say this right now, there are probably 10 other ways that I can think off the top of my head to set up ball python eggs to go in your incubator that people have done successfully. Again, this is just my opinion and the way that I'm currently doing it, and so far I've seen great results with the amount of humidity it's held in my incubator, and I haven't had to do anything else besides just put the egg box in there and just wait for eggs to come. Could you guys do a few quick favors before we go? If you guys are down, make sure to smash that like button, and also hit that big red subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.